London, 10:12 p.m. Rain poured down the city like sorrow from the sky. Inside an elite high-rise apartment, silence echoed louder than thunder. Jamie Richards was found dead in his locked apartment. The balcony door was bolted from inside. No signs of a break-in, no weapon, no witness, no way in, and certainly no way out. To the world, Jamie was a respected entrepreneur. But to those who truly knew him, he was a man tangled in secrets. The police were baffled. The door had been locked from the inside. The windows were sealed. There was no one else on the security footage, except Jamie, and one blurred frame. Just one.
Police Officer Davis. Sir, we've swept the place. All exits secure. Not a fingerprint except Jamie's. Chief Inspector Marlowe. No break-in, no weapon, and yet he's dead, locked from inside. The press will call this a ghost murder. Officer Davis. We should call him. If anyone can make sense of this, it's Locke. Chief Inspector Marlowe. Call him.
Thus entered Agent Locke, the man known for solving the unsolvable. A former military mind turned private investigator, known for his intuition and that signature cigarette he never lit. Locke didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in patterns, and Jamie Richards' death was just the beginning. Agent Locke arrived 38 minutes after the call. No sirens, no flashing badges. Just a quiet step through the puddles, like a man visiting an old ghost. He stood outside Jamie's building, staring up through the drizzle. 7th floor. Balcony. No sign of struggle, no open questions answered. But Locke didn't need answers. Not yet. He needed the silence. That's where stories whisper. Inside, the crime scene smelled of money and deceit, polished wood, minimalist art, and the faintest whiff of cologne still lingering in the air. Jamie's body lay undisturbed. Peaceful. Too peaceful. Locke wandered to the balcony. The rain smeared the city lights like tears across glass. He stared across to the building opposite and paused. Just for a second, something felt off. Not the view, the angle, the neighboring window directly across. It had a clear line of sight to Jamie's apartment.
Officer Davis. Locke, glad you came. You won't like this one. I never like the ones that don't bleed. Officer Davis. Locked door, balcony sealed, no forced entry. Coroner says heart failure. No drugs, no poison. Agent Locke. Then something scared him to death, or convinced him to stop living. Agent Locke. No ghosts, just people who think no one's watching.
Agent Locke crossed the street, cutting through the fog like a surgeon with a scalpel. The building across from Jamie's was old, forgotten, like most things that still told the truth. No security, no cameras, just dust and echoes. He climbed to the 4th floor, boots wet, breath slow. Apartment 4C. A single room, no furniture. But one thing mattered, the window. Direct line of sight to Jamie's balcony, wide open. Raindrops splattered on the wooden floor. But it wasn't just water, it was mud. Fine footprints trailing across the sill, and a candy wrapper in the corner. Down in the alley, Locke followed instinct, not footsteps. Trash bins, broken crates, the smell of rust. Then he spotted it, a crumpled hoodie tucked behind a dumpster. Wet, small. A boy, couldn't be more than 12, tried to bolt, but Locke didn't even raise his voice. Locke knelt beside the boy, rain dripping from his coat. It wasn't the kid. It was the shadow behind him. Someone rich enough to pay, clever enough to hide, and cruel enough to gamble with a stranger's life. And just like that, the silent game had begun.
Someone stood here, watched him, or waited for something. Agent Locke. Bubble gum. Grape. not something a killer chews. A kid? Agent Locke, calmly. Stop. You're not in trouble. Unless you run. I didn't hurt nobody. He gave me £5 to leave the window open, that's it. Agent Locke, approaching slowly. Who gave you the money? Boy. He said it was a prank, said no one would get hurt.
Back at the precinct, the boy sat shivering, wrapped in a blanket too big for him. He stared at the floor, not speaking, but not running either. Locke waited, letting silence do the work. The room smelled like old coffee and tired lies, the kind of place where people cracked, not because of pressure, but because someone finally listened.
Agent Locke, calm, gentle. Locke, I believe you. You were paid to open the window. Nothing else. But someone died because of it. Help me stop this from happening again. His name wasn't real, but he had a scar. Here, he gestures to his chin. He called himself Victor. Pale. Disappeared in 2019. Last seen in Belgium. Suspected in 3 deaths. No charges. No proof.
Victor. The name slid into Locke's mind like a shard of glass. Familiar. Dangerous. He returned to his office. The city outside his window looked like it had secrets in every corner. On his desk lay a case file he'd once buried deep. Victor Hale, a former arms broker turned ghost. Untraceable, uncatchable. The man dealt in secrets, disappeared in lies, and had more enemies than friends. And yet, here he was, hiding behind children, shadows, and one open window. Locke stared at the photo of Victor, a man who vanished without a trace. But now, he left a footprint, and Locke was already following. Rain tapped against the window like a quiet metronome, pacing Locke's thoughts. The city outside hummed, unaware that a ghost had returned. He opened the old file, yellowed with age, its corners curled. Inside were grainy photos, confidential reports, and a snapshot of himself and Victor. Years ago, they weren't enemies. They were partners.
Young Locke, this mission isn't clean, Vic. We're helping the wrong people. There's no right side in this business, Locke. Just the ones who pay better. Agent Locke, murmuring to himself. You always said you'd come back, Victor. I just didn't think it'd be like this.
That mission in Prague, a gun-running op disguised as humanitarian aid, was Locke's turning point. He walked away from that life. Victor didn't. Since then, Locke became a detective. Victor disappeared. Until now. The dead man in the room, the boy at the window, the silent streets of London, they were echoes. Echoes of a choice made long ago. Locke wasn't just chasing a killer now. He was chasing the man he once trusted most. A man who knew all his moves, all his weaknesses. Victor wasn't just playing a game. He was writing the rules. Rain fell harder now, almost like the sky itself carried guilt. Locke walked the empty bridge, its metal rails cold to the touch, the Thames roaring below. At the edge stood Sarah, widow of the man murdered, and wife of the man arrested. Her coat soaked, her eyes wild with storm clouds of her own.
Sarah, please, step back. I'm not here to arrest you. Sarah, I didn't think he'd actually die, Locke. I thought Victor was bluffing, just scaring Jamie. Locke, you spoke to Victor? Sarah, he came to the office 2 weeks ago, told Jamie he wanted his half of the company back. Jamie laughed in his face, like he always did. And then, Sarah, then Jamie vanished for 2 days. When he came back, he was different. Scared. He didn't say anything. Not to me, not to anyone.
Locke's mind raced. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about control, about secrets, about revenge. Victor had orchestrated everything, just out of reach, using others like chess pieces. Sarah wasn't guilty, but she was caught in the crossfire. She nodded through tears, and in that moment, under the weight of London's reign and secrets, an uneasy alliance was formed. The bridge didn't just cross the river, it crossed the truth.
Sarah, I didn't want anyone to die. I just wanted freedom. From all of it. From Jamie. From the lies. Locke. Then help me, Sarah. Help me stop Victor, before someone else ends up dead.
The rain hadn't stopped, but inside the crime scene apartment, it was finally quiet. Locke stood alone, no officers, no noise, just memories of chaos. This was where it began. A locked room, no forced entry, no exits. Jamie Richards, dead. A ghost crime with no suspects and no escape. Locke scanned the room again. It was neat, too neat, even after forensics. Then something caught his eye. A floorboard near the vent was slightly loose. He crouched, pried it up, and found a small metal latch beneath, the edge of a hidden crawl space. And suddenly it all clicked. The boy seen on the rooftop, the timed power outage, the crawl space. Victor hadn't killed Jamie. He'd hired someone, a shadow operative, a ghost. That's why there were no fingerprints, no camera hits. The killer had never officially existed. The pieces were moving now. Locke just had to stay ahead of the game, before the board flipped again. And he knew exactly where to go next. Locke sat in the records room beneath the city archives, surrounded by paper trails and forgotten truths. To understand the crime, he needed to understand the man behind it, Victor Hale. He traced the name through old foster care records, school files, sealed juvenile reports. And then he saw it. The boy no one noticed, the boy everyone forgot. But one file stood out, a sealed juvenile record from age 15. Theft, breaking and entering. But nothing ever stuck. No witnesses, no charges. And then, disappearance. No trace for 5 years. Until he re-emerged. Wealthy, clean, the perfect businessman. Jamie Richards' partner. Locke's fingers ran across a faded photograph. Victor, younger, standing near an unidentified man in military gear. The man's face was blurred, but the insignia was clear. A covert unit, disbanded, specialized in black ops, ghost missions. And now, murder for hire. Locke now had motive, means, and the man. But the law needed proof, and in Victor's world, proof had a way of disappearing. Still, Locke wasn't backing down. Not now. Not when justice was so close he could hear it breathing. It had taken weeks of quiet digging and tracing encrypted transactions. The payments were routed through shell companies, clean, untraceable. But not to Locke. At the edge of the East End train yard, Locke stood waiting for a man known only by whispers, the ghost. No records, no identity, no mistakes. The ghost didn't flinch. He wasn't the nervous type. Men like him had killed in war zones and hotel lobbies alike. But Locke knew something most didn't. This man had a conscience. He slid a photo from his coat. Jamie Richards, smiling, alive. She wasn't supposed to die, Locke said coldly.
You've been digging too deep, Detective, Locke calmly reminded. And you've left just enough dirt behind to lead me here. Ghost. I don't kill women. I told Victor that. He said it was insurance. She found out too much. Locke. You pulled the trigger anyway, Ghost. I didn't. I passed the job. Young guy, nervous, fast hands. Didn't know the target until too late, Locke. A dead woman, a scared boy, a broken assassin, and a man at the top who thinks he's untouchable. but not for long.
There it was, the crack in the wall, a subcontractor, a mistake, a trail. The ghost took a breath and dropped a burner phone at Locke's feet. "You didn't get this from me," he muttered. And just like that, he was gone, swallowed by the mist. The phone contained everything: calls, texts, proof. The kind of evidence even Victor Hale couldn't erase. Locke had the final piece. Now it was time to strike. Morning broke gray over the city, but Locke's mind was clear. The phone had names, timestamps, accounts. Even the voice of Victor Hale authorizing the kill. It wasn't just evidence, it was a confession. The boardroom smelled of money and arrogance. Hale, dressed in a silver suit, sipped coffee as if he owned time itself. He looked up, almost bored, as Locke entered.
No noise, no guns. We do this clean. Understood. We've got the warrant. Detective Locke. Still chasing ghosts? No, I caught one. She told me about you.
Locke pressed play. Hale's voice echoed through the room. "Make sure she doesn't talk again. Ever." Silence. The lawyers went pale. Hale's hand trembled.
Victor Hale. You'll regret this. Locke, I already regret letting you run free this long.
The officers moved in. Cuffs clicked. Hale didn't fight. He knew the game was up. As they led him out, Locke turned to the window. Rain had started again. Light cleansing.
Locke. People think the truth hides in shadows, but sometimes it waits right in front of us, quiet, patient, and deadly. All you need is the nerve to chase it down.
Another case closed, another storm weathered, but Locke knew the city wasn't done with him. Not yet. Somewhere another story was already unfolding, and he'd be ready.